So, good morning, children. We are going to start our new chapter of history, that is 11, political formation in the 18th century. Okay, and this is our last chapter of your syllabus. So, in this chapter, we will study many region kingdom that arose like Awadh, Bengal, Hyderabad, Rajput, Punjab, which arose under the Sikh, Mysore, Marathas, and Peshwa. So, in our first chapter of our history, we have already discussed about that our history is divided into three parts: ancient, medieval, and modern period. Right. So, the some changes that is in 8th century has witnessed some changes, and it has led to enter to medieval period. That is 8th to 18th century stretch the medieval period. And 18th century also has witnessed some changes which led to enter to modern period. Okay, so in the 18th century we saw the decline of the Mughal Empire and rise of the regional kingdom. So in the Great Mughal chapter we have already studied about that Aurangzeb was the last great Mughal ruler who has made the empire very strong and powerful, and when he died in 1707. Clear? So, when he died, after that, what we see is that Bahadur Shah first ruled from 1707 to 1712, and he tried to win over the Rajput, the Marathas, and the Sikh, and he was succeeded by Jahanadar Shah, who ruled for a few months only. He was a puppet in the hand of Zulfikar Khan, a powerful novel. And the next ruler was Farrukhshir, and he was a ruler only in his name. He was being controlled by Sayyid brother Abdullah Khan Barha and Hussein Ali Khan Barha. So since they chose who was to be made king, they were known as the kingmaker, these two brothers. So in 1719, they removed Farrukhshir from the throne. Within a year, they placed and removed two more rulers from the throne, and in 1720, they made Muhammad the Shah the emperor. Now, Muhammad Shah stripped the Sayyid brother of the power. He, however, did not try to strengthen the empire. Powerful governor established independent kingdom in different area. When his rule ended in 1748, the Mughal Empire existed only in name. That is, the latter Mughal who came after Aurangzeb was not so strong. They could not take the legacy forward of the Mughal Empire. Clear? Then there was the invention of Nadir Shah in 1739. Ahmad Shah Abdali has invaded in 1761. So they looted India. Nadir Shah has looted famous Kohinoor diamond and peacock throne of Shah Jahan. Okay, so next we will discuss about the independent kingdom. As latter Mughal who came was not so stronger. That is, the latter Mughal ruler, whoever came, they were not so strong. So they could not take the legacy forward. So there arose regional kingdom. So some of those regional kingdom were former Mughal provinces that were carved out by governor serving the Mughal ruler. Three of the largest provinces to become independent were Awadh, Bengal, and Hyderabad. Clear? This three was the most powerful independent kingdom which rose after the end of the Mughal Empire. Clear? Now the first provinces we will talk about the Awadh. So Muhammad Shah in 1722 has appointed Sadat Khan as the governor of Awadh, and Awadh kingdom has complete control over the Ganga plain. There were certain Jamindar who were not paying taxes on time. So what Sadat Khan did, he removed that Jagidar who was been appointed by the earlier Mughal ruler to collect tax in time. Clear? That means Jagidar was been appointed by the earlier Mughal ruler, and Sadat Khan, he has removed them. So he did reform and he held the confined office of Subedar. Clear? That is, Subedar was the political head. He has held the combined office of the Subedar, that is the political head, Faujdar, that was the military head, and the Diwan, that is the head of the revenue. And he was be succeeded in 1739 by Safdar Jung. Understood about the Awadh? Now next we have the Bengal. Murshid Quli Khan was the governor of Bengal under Mughal. When Mughal Empire was about to decline, what he did, he seized the power and began to rule independently out there in Bengal. And he was an excellent administrator and made Murshidabad his capital. During his time, he used to collect everything in cash, clear. And what he did, he even encouraged, whom he encouraged, what he encouraged is that he encouraged agriculture, productivity, industry, and trade. And he did a lot for that, for the development of the agriculture, industry, and trade. Loan was being given to the poor peasant so that they could do better cultivation. A strict control was maintained over the collection of custom duties. That is important export of the goods. In that, custom duty was being strictly guided. In the 18th century, Bengal came one of the most prosperous region of India, and it was this prosperity that, due to the prosperity of this only, the Bengal was being attacked by the English, that by the Britishers, and the historic battle of Plassey in the year of 1757 was being fought. Clear? Now, and the Battle of Boxer was being fought in 1764 with Bengal and the East India Company firmly established the English power in this region. So after these two battles which was in fought, after that came the British rule in India. Clear? Understood about the Bengal? Next, we will move to Hyderabad. Now, Chin Kilish Khan was a powerful novel in the court of Farrukhsher and Muhammad Shah, and he was first appointed governor of Awadh and then shifted to Deccan. First, he was been appointed as governor of Awadh, and later he was been shifted to Deccan. And he out there, Deccan, he established his power over there and declare and Hyderabad an independent state. Clear? And he was awarded the title of Nizam ul Mulk Asaf Jaha and was given the responsibility of whole to govern the Deccan provinces. And he crept up the state of Hyderabad, which he ruled as an independent ruler. He has appointed Mansabdar and granted him Jagir, and without the permission of the Mughal king, he has not taken the permission of the Mughal king. Whatever he used to feel good for the development, he used to take the step. So Muhammad Shah was powerless to stop him. Okay, as Chin Kilish Khan was the governor out there, he was supposed to seek the permission from the Mughal ruler, right? But he has not taken the permission, and out there, Muhammad Shah was powerless. He could not stop Chin Kilish Khan from doing all that, and he has to agree on to all the decision taken by him. Clear? And the successor of Nizamul Mulk were known as Nizam. Clear? Who was Nizamul Mulk? That was the Chin Kalish Khan, who has been given the title of Nizamul Mulk. And whatever decision he used to take, out there, Muhammad Shah, the emperor, has to agree to his decision. Clear? Now, next is our Rajput. So you all remember how Akbar has maintained friendly relation with Rajput? What he did for that? He gave top position to Rajput in his court. Clear? And even he has maintained a matrimonial alliance with the Rajput. When Aurangzeb he came, he did not maintain good relation with Rajput. So most of the Rajput steppe, they also revolted against him. And in 18th century, most of the Rajput state became an independent state. And the most enlightened Rajput ruler of that period was the Swai Raja Jai Singh of Amber, and he encouraged the teaching and learning of the science. Swai Raja Jai Singh founded the city of Jaipur and made its capital. Clear? What he did? He encouraged the teaching and learning of science. He founded the city Jaipur and made it his capital. He also was interested in astronomy and built many observatories. Clear? Next comes our Punjab under Sikh. What comes Punjab under Sikh? Now the Sikh out here became politically strong military force under whom? Under Guru Gobind Singh, and he was the 10th Guru. Clear? Now what he did? The Guru Gobind Singh, he has organized Sikh into the military group called the Khalsa, which means the pure. And he has inspired his soldiers to fight against the Mughal through the slogan. He has given inspiration. What was the slogan given? Why Guru Ji ki Khalsa, why Guru Ji ki Fateh. Okay. What does it mean? It means that Khalsa belong to God and all victories of the Khalsa are the victories of the God. So this slogan was been given which has inspired the soldier of Sikh. Now Guru Gobind Singh, he has asked all Sikh men to wear 5 sacred symbols. What was those? That was symbol was Keshar here, Kanga or comb, Kara or bracelet which means Kacha which means underwear, and last one was the Kripan or dagger. Clear? Now regarding Kesh, cutting or removing hair from any parts of the body was not allowed as hair is a symbol of spirituality and signified surrender to God will. Clear? That means they were not cutting their hair. You must have seen that Sikh they were wearing the pagri. Right? Next was the symbol Kanga. It is a symbol of cleanliness. Just as when we comb our hair, we take out the broken strand of our hair. Similarly, we should comb out the bad thought from our mind. So what does Kanga symbolize? It symbolizes for the cleanliness. As we used to comb our hair, when we are doing comb, what happened? The broken hair used to come out from our hair, right? That means the same out here. That means all the bad things should be come out from the mind. Third one is the Kara. It acts as a remember to stop a person when he raises his hand to do anything wrong. When we are wearing Kara in our hand, so what does it symbolize? That if I raise my hand to beat someone else, to harm someone, that means after seeing that Kara, we should stop it. That means from doing anything wrong. Clear? Now the other one was the Kacha. It is a symbol of high moral character. Last one was the Kripan. It is also used to defend the helpless and uphold the truth. That means it symbolizes to help the needy people and always speak the truth. So after Guru Gobind Singh, the Sikh were led by Banda Bahadur and he has continued the struggle against the Mughal. In the second half of the 18th century, the Sikh formed 12 political groups called the mills. So each mills control a specific area and had a leader out there. They are having a particular area, under that they used to have a leader who used to control that political group. Now towards the end of the 18th century, we see Maharaja Ranjit Singh, the leader of Suke Chaki mills, united all the mills, that means which was divided into 12 parts, have united all the mills and established a powerful kingdom in Punjab. Understood about the Punjab under the Sikh? Now we will move to the Mysore. Clear? So regarding Mysore, you all must have studied that out there two of them was the powerful. One was the father and other was the son. That is Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan. They two were the most powerful out there. And Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan did lots of effort to make Mysore the powerful kingdom. As Hyder Ali ruled from 1761 to 82 and Tipu Sultan ruled from 1782 to 99. They took various measures to make Mysore powerful, and Tipu Sultan was also known as Tiger of Mysore. So first of all, what step they have taken was that to make the Mysore powerful, first of all they had taken step to modernize the army. Clear? Secondly, they introduced new and efficient weapon. Now, with the help of the French also, Hyder Ali established a modern arsenal at Dindigul, and Tipu Sultan even made effort to build a modern navy. So both father and son fought against the English, and what they did, Hyder Ali has defeated the English in the first Anglo-Mysore War of 1769, and Tipu Sultan died while fighting against the English, that was against the East India Company during the fourth Anglo-Mysore War in 1799. That means he did not surrender. He gave up his life while saving his kingdom. Understood about Mysore? So children, today what we have studied is that we have studied about our Bengal, Hyderabad, and about the Rajput. Punjab also we have studied under the Sikh, and we have studied about the Mysore. So just go through till this much. If any confusion is doubt is there, you do ask me. Clear? So thank you.